Hello everybody and welcome back to WoW Mods. This time around, we're somewhere familiar. So for those of you who are wondering what this is, well, let me just say this. You have all been here before and you have seen this as part of my Suramar build, except now you will notice it has been themed and dressed with Blood Elf features. And the reason for that is that Kenny from the actual Discord server of our channel and from Sano WoW reached out to me. He helped me out with a couple of different things, and he was looking for something that they wanted, and I said, "Yep, sure, I'll go ahead and I'll do a redress." And get this done for you guys, which is interesting because I hadn't come back to this region in quite some time. Oh, well, will you look at this? This is pay no attention to the Nightborn guard as he is currently fighting me. Let's see what this is going on. Come on. Come on, I'm just gonna dispatch him really quickly and also turn my GM mode on. Yeah, so it's been a while since I've been here. I had a chance to come back and do some of the remodeling. There was a lot of texture work actually that I had to redo. When I did this area originally, it was a while back, so I've sort of improved some of my standards in terms of like doing terraining and texture work. So I came back to it and I redid that. I thought I could just do a replacement of other things, but yeah, that wasn't going to work. So we have some custom assets that I did for this particular build. Red tents, as you will have imagined with the green little crystal there, are actually not in the game, which I'm pretty surprised about. They just seemed like a no-brainer. But yeah, you have blue versions, you have black versions, you have these versions over here, but no red. So that was one of the sort of like the custom resources that I brought in. What else? We have custom stairs that I brought in for these particular ruins. Before it was just highly inclined. A new version as well, highly inclined terrain, which I was never quite too happy with. So these stairs work out pretty fine. We've got the markets, of course. There's some things that I didn't change because you know it wasn't required. Like obviously it was a back and forth and asking like, what would you like me to do? What would you like me? I'll do this, I'll do that. And some things, you know, just kind of stayed the same. Another sort of custom asset, I guess, is this entire druid tree, which was very central to the park. So we didn't want to change that, and I decided that perhaps it would just be best to sort of like color theme it with the rest of the rest of the landscape. I'm sure I'll get a chance to use it again. It's a nice resource. It's pretty cool. So I'm happy I did that. What else? What else do we have to take a look at? Well, let's take a look at some of the interiors here, which before were themed sort of to Night Elf standards, and now are obviously Blood Elf. Let's take a look quickly here in the back where there used to be sort of like this beach area, which is now it's still a beach area. It's still slightly different than it was before. Some things have changed. I have added additional walls. I have added transparent barriers because this city as it currently stands is self-contained, so there are no, unlike the unfinished Night Elf Suramar version that was open, this version is closed and is self-contained. I believe that it's going to be used as a mall that they want. So as you can see, some areas have been closed off. which is fine. I think that it's a very large chunk of terrain, so it's also interesting to make sure that we're keeping it just closed off just for this. Now, another thing that changed quite significantly, which I wasn't too happy with originally, was this entire bay area. I didn't like how the shores, the way that I had done them before. I didn't like the bridge that went into the main structure there. I didn't like the elevation going up into the city. So I'm kind of happy with how this came out. At least it's a base to improve upon if in the future I should deem it necessary to come back and work on some of these things. And I really do like how this land and column arches sort of like ended up working. There's a bit of a little there's a dock here that can allow you to go onto that particular boat. I believe that in the previous versions, the boats were over here on that particular side of the city. So that was an interesting change. It's interesting going back to some of these things, and obviously, I never think that anything that I do is ever finished, which is both good and also a detriment. I can see some of the flaws in my own work. I can see things changing, but I do foresee either revisiting the older version of Suramar that I was doing, which it's not Suramar, it's anything else. It was inspired by the idea of having a sort of like a highborn city. I might come back to this and revisit it as either that or revisit it as a Naga, more realistically as a Naga city. But yeah, here we're going to go into the central structure again. New stairs instead of like just really inclined terrain. And we've got some pretty interesting. Oh, we've got green crystals topping as well, which is a new resource. Look nicer during the nighttime, but yeah, this is how this area has been particularly redressed, and yeah, I think it all came out pretty nice. I think it was appropriate. It was an appropriate redress because with Blood Elves you have a lot of resources of high elfy, highborn, magical-looking things, which was the original feel for this particular area slash city. So the redress wasn't too difficult in the sense that I didn't have to make an enormous amount of resources. We had an enormous amount that is already available thanks to the Blood Elf resources. Some of the things that I did decide to do, I did do, like the, yeah, I guess I hadn't really talked about these, but these wooden docks are obviously retextures using sort of like the Blood Elf slash High Elf coloring, just made to match sort of like the woodworking as it is done for most of the Blood Elf, High Elf buildings and units and whatnot, and I think that was a nice addition. It's things like that you normally don't notice firsthand, and I think that's usually a good way of doing things when you can't notice that they weren't part of the original resources that Blizzard put out there. Then I think you're on the right track. But yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this particular walkthrough through this redressed city. More stuff is coming up in the following weeks. We still have to go and look at the North Vale area, the northern areas to that. My secret project has been kind of been on a little bit of a pause as well. But that's going to be probably revealed pretty soon. I think I'm going to reveal it regardless of whether or not how far along I am. It's just I wanted to show you something new. There's been also new resources that I've managed to get my hands on. I've also been editing a couple of WMOs and creating some new resources in that. There's planned changes to the high elf area as well. So there's a lot on the books. So hopefully we'll have a little bit more of that the following week. So until then, everybody, take it easy, and I guess I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.